Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new NVIDIA daily update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over NVIDIA stock. Let's go over what is happening, what we can expect moving forward, and all that good stuff. If you enjoyed, don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice, not a financial advisor. And of course, if you enjoy my technical analysis, thoughts on the charts, updates, etc. Well, again, I do share my thoughts with members every single day as the market is open, as the market is trading. Definitely check that out. That link is down below. Obviously, I am not a financial advisor, but again, it's just chart updates, options flow, technical analysis. Again, throughout the day as the market is open and trading, when there's something worth mentioning, of course. First tier, $3 a month USD. That's all it is. All my Tesla updates, options, so technical analysis. And I also, every now and then, of course, when there's something worth mentioning, talk about the broader market, SPY, QQQ, etc. $5 adds NVIDIA to that. $7 adds non-Tesla, non-NVIDIA charts to that. Like, for instance, today I talked about United Healthcare, actually, Apple, right? And of course, every Sunday I do chart requests with members over on Discord. Again, would love to have you there. The price for all of that is just $7 a month USD if you want to include everything. Pretty good in my opinion. But jumping into it, NVIDIA closing the day up a respectable 1% on the day closing, roughly relative to the market, roughly we can say, maybe slightly outperforming the market, but nonetheless, it's at a pretty important spot. But again, I want to make this very clear, and I want to make this like just abundantly clear. Tomorrow was earnings. Earnings is always a question mark. Technical analysis very rarely is useful when it comes to earnings. Sometimes you get a bit of an oddball. Sometimes you get one of those lucky times. It does happen. It does happen. But for the most part, it is pretty much a gamble, right? It is pretty much an overall gamble. You are, there's nothing that can really suggest to you from technical analysis that will guarantee you with a high probability that this is the way the earnings price action will be, right? Reaction to the earnings. It's very important. So, with that being said, yeah, maybe take things today and maybe tomorrow actually as well before market closes, of course, or as the market closes before earnings come out, with a bit of grain of salt, But jumping into what we can analyze today based on today's price action of the last few days, etc. What do we have? Well, like I said, we had a nice bullish engulfing candle. We closed back into the channel and we pretty much closed above the 21 EMA. What do we do next? We turned the bullish channel into support. We rocketed higher. What do we do today? We turned that old 179, 180 resistance, which should have been or could have been a resistance, into a support. All signs are, looking pretty good, right? But we're still getting a rejection and, we're finding some struggle, if you will, right around those green Fibonacci's at pretty much 181 and change, right? We're still having issues there. So let's continue monitoring that. The bears definitely want to go ahead and make sure they pretty much defend this 181 and change, right? Up to 182 roughly. They definitely want to go ahead and defend that. That's important because above this, bulls are getting a bit of an upper hand. Now, again, obviously with earnings tomorrow after the bell, it's still anyone's game. It's anyone's guess. I'm not going to pretend like I know if it's going to go up or down post earnings, right? Nobody knows. But again, this is, to me, at least, a warning sign. If I see something like this with earnings tomorrow, I even though it obviously can, of course, shoot up higher to 190, let's say, of course, that is a possibility. I'm not denying that whatsoever. Is that a risk I am personally willing to take? Unfortunately, it's just not, right? There's so many other setups I can take that are just more controlled. Things that I feel like I have more influence on, if that makes sense, where, the price action is more methodical, not, earnings being a complete gamble, essentially, right? So it's important to realize these kind of situations sometimes, and it depends on your risk tolerance, right? But just again, off of this only, this is a massive drop. We broke this low. We ended up setting a fresh low. We did recover pretty aggressively. NVIDIA likes to do dead cats very aggressively. The last one I mentioned, I kept mentioning as an example, also very aggressive, also went right to the green fibs. Very, very super duper quickly. In case you're new here or you haven't seen it or you forgot about it or whatever, this example right here, pretty much the exact same scenario we're setting up right now, just smaller, sideways action for quite some time. This right here is that 179 to 180 region that we're currently experiencing. This up here is 183 to 184. Pretty much the same thing, sideways for quite some time, massive fall, went back above into the green fibs, broke above previous support, which could have been resistance, broke above it though, the exact same way it did over here, just to get stopped at the green Fibonacci's and then ultimately, not have a very fun time afterwards. So let's see, that is, it's a very real risk possibility that, again, me personally, I'm just not willing to take. There's just so many better setups up there that I'm willing to take instead. I'm observing. I will be observing, so that's why my analysis has no bias behind it. But that's probably the main thing to watch out for right now. Watch for these green fibs. Watch for this resistance at this up to 182 roughly, and even above 182, we still have resistance closer to this kind of 183 to 184 region. So there's definitely some headwind up above here, right? So again, let's continue monitoring it. Let's see how earnings goes. There's a lot of question marks here, and all we can really do is maybe see what the options market is looking like going into earnings, and what are they expecting? Well, options flow is actually pretty undeniably bullish. 42 million overall bullish call flow with an only 5 million bearish call flow. So definitely more bullish than bearish, no question about that. But the bears are definitely trying to step in a little bit here. You can see a little bit of red among a sea of green, right? But yeah, it's undeniably bullish. The only thing I don't like is the fact that none of these bullish flows, even the bearish flows to be fair, are standing out to me. Nothing is very unusual. Nothing really stands out, like, wow, that's something worth kind of monitoring and mentioning, right? They're all very standard. It's all very standard flow. Usually you want to look for, the background colors, ideally blue, kind of, that blue teal looking color. That's very unusual. Gold is usually pretty good. Purple even is not too bad, but teal, that's the one you really want to look for. Unfortunately, we don't see anything like that here. So nothing standing out in that kind of sense. So all in all, let's see how tomorrow goes. Big day tomorrow, but all in all, this does still have a potential to be a bit of a bull trap around this general range. Obviously, earnings is a massive gamble. So let's see. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow. Big day. Let's go.